This is where we hold them! This is where we fight! This is where they die!
It was the wrong franchise anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our Worth Playing series. Today we're going to see if Warhammer 40K Space Marine is worth playing in 2021. Warhammer 40K Space Marine was first released back in September 2011 by THQ and Sega, and was positively received overall by most critics, achieving high praise and scores on most platforms. As a preface, I hadn't played this game before, although I had heard good things. My goal here today is to see if this game stands up to 2021, to give it a brief review for those who may want to play it. With that out of the way, let's play.
To consume the Imperium of Man.
Warhammer 40K Space Marine is set in the Warhammer universe. For the uninitiated, Warhammer was originally a tabletop battle game which put players in command of armies of valiant humans, noble elves, savage orcs, or of a variety of other twisted and monstrous creatures. Warhammer has since seen many iterations and rules over the years, with one of the most popular being Warhammer 40K. There is a ton of lore and story to go along with everything Warhammer produces, and you'll quickly find yourself absorbed in this weird and brutally wonderful world if you decide to go looking. If you want to know more, I'll leave a link detailing the overall history of the Warhammer universe in the description below. Warhammer 40K Space Marine follows the story of Space Marine Captain Titus, his squad, and their role in defending against an orc invasion of the Imperial Forge world. The Imperial Forge is a planet-dedicated industry that manufactures vehicles and weapons for the Imperium's war machine. Luckily, players won't need to know much about the incredibly deep history of this franchise to get a feel for the game. The story is fairly straightforward and aimed at a broad audience, not just those that are initiated. For the fans, there are some fun Easter eggs and references thrown in that I'm sure you will appreciate. There is also an in-game glossary available for those that wish to find out more information on various enemies and references, so like I said, there's no real need to enter with prior knowledge. Titus is one of my favourite characters in 40k, so I was pleased to get the chance to fight in his shoes, or at least over his shoulder in this case. Who is your favourite Warhammer character and why? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, enough story. You're here for the gameplay. Upon first observations, the camera is locked to third person, with the option to aim down sights or zoom for some weapons. Initially, this was going to be a con, but after an hour or so of play, it started to grow on me and I really enjoyed it. Levels are linear, but again, this isn't really a problem for this type of game, and I felt that it worked well. Ammo is dotted around frequently, and there are plenty of items to take cover behind, as well as explosive barrels to blow up to quickly remove enemies. There are also various collectibles around the levels, and you can go back through each one and replay them to find them all if you're a completionist. There are around 60 Steam achievements to unlock as well, for those that are inclined to do so. Various weapons can be found around the game, usually in the form of bio-locked supply drops that will be very obvious to the player. While you can only hold 4 in total, there is a wide arsenal of weapons that will make pushing the greenskins back a lot easier. And more fun. Don't forget the fun. From pistols to chainswords? Yes, I said chainswords. You'll never find yourself short of weapons to dispatch the enemies of man. For the Emperor! Okay, let's move on to the combat and controls. So, combat feels very satisfying, and there are tons of enemies to carve up, shoot, snipe, and explode. Some of this can be fairly challenging if you get overwhelmed, but when you're used to the execution mechanic that heals a portion of your health, and the Fury ability, the game can still feel fairly basic at times, at least on the normal difficulty. At first glance, I honestly thought the controls would be horrible for this game. In reality, they're intuitive, and they feel like someone actually had put some time into playing and testing them. While it does take a little bit of practice to get the hang of some of the combos, I found myself switching between them fairly often and using various methods to dispatch my enemies. While the controls in combat aren't anything particularly revolutionary, nor were they for its time, they definitely stand up with the amount of diversity in attacks and combos available. Your squad is controlled by AI, and I found it to be fairly lacking throughout most of the game. They didn't really feel present, if you know what I mean. Often they would fall behind, or just not get involved in the combat at all. Moving on to graphics and audio. If you've seen my previous videos, you'll know that I try to avoid judging games by their graphics alone, and this is no exception. While you can tell that this game is showing its age in some places, with textures that are fairly basic, the developers have done a wonderful job in portraying the dark, worn-down aesthetic that Warhammer has always been fantastic at delivering. All characters are well voice acted, and the dialogue contains more of the detail-rich story that fans have come to know and love. The musical score is frankly pretty epic, and always seemed to fit the situations I found myself in. Cutscenes are a mix of pre-rendered and game engine, and transitions felt nice overall. Alright, let's move on to the question that we asked at the start of this video. Is Warhammer 40k Space Marine worth playing in 2021? Stomping, cutting, shooting, exploding, and sniping orcs in a Warhammer game has never felt this fun, and with environments that immerse you fairly well, along with the energetic soundtrack and voice acting, make this a game that should definitely be picked up for fans and newbies alike. While the game is showing its age a little, I don't think that should be a barrier to entry. I got around 10 hours of hack and slash fun out of this in the story, and there is also a multiplayer mode that I didn't end up playing, so there is definitely potential for more. I didn't run into any real bugs looking back, and the game felt fairly well polished. Overall, I think this game is a diamond in the dust and should be experienced firsthand. While the game never really ramped up to be truly exciting or challenging, I did enjoy my experience and would love to step into Titus's shoes again if given the opportunity. Sadly, THQ has closed since this game was released, so I doubt we'll be seeing a sequel at any point soon. Well, I think that just about wraps up this video. Thank you for watching, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you next time.